I want to paint you a picture, a little version of me just reaching those awkward middle school years. I'd gotten my period and cut my hair to a regrettable length in trying to claim control over my being. You'd see I'd spent the early years of my life asking for forgiveness, apologizing for my body and its natural processes. Puberty, including menstruation, was happening amongst all my friends in school, and yet there was a load of embarrassment, far from feeling free in my body. Fast forward to my older years, where my profession has led me to learning the ins and outs of women and vulva owners' bodies. I'm now face to face with people who bleed monthly, who are in perimenopause, and who are postmenopausal, helping them with their pelvic health. It's not wild to think about how difficult it is to talk openly and honestly about women and vulva owners' bodies, commonly met with shame, embarrassment, and discomfort. A lot of people struggle with body talk, especially around menstruation. It's gross. I'm gross. These cramps are killing me. It looks like Shark Week in my underwear. I'm sorry about X, Y, Z. We must shed the harmful and negative stigmas around periods specifically and move towards a feeling of freedom and, dare I say, hope around our bodies and cyclical nature. So what does that look like? The steps in between look a bit hairy, perhaps even a little bloody. It's not an easy process to let go of what's been ingrained in us for so long, but it is damn worth it. First, let's take a look at where we face the stigmas on our bodies from menstruation through menopause, because perhaps if we shine a light on it, we can begin to shed the shame. Stigma is found and perpetuated first and foremost when it's most impactful. Back in those middle school years when we first receive sex education, which is when most menstruators reach this phase of development. However, as things stand right now, the emphasis is more about what big, hairy, and scary changes are going to happen to our bodies and abstinence to not get pregnant. Our youth are separated in their education sometimes too, creating even more of a divide in understanding each other. In understanding each other. A huge pillar that exists for us to step towards freedom is education. Education about our bodies and what's happening is paramount, and yet the stigma around menstruation and its end at this point in our world's history limits access to helpful or accurate information. It also limits some young people's ability to even receive the proper period care products. When a young person is so freaked out by the surprise in their pants and they don't understand what's happening, we've lost. Against a stigma that disempowers us to teach and for others to learn about their bodies. And it continues long past those formative years, even when we step into adulthood. Ask yourself about the last time you had a doctor's appointment, pap smear, or even the last time you were intimate with someone. Did you apologize for your body in any way? If you did or have before, it's okay. When we know better, we do better. I'd rather we recognize the why. Most likely, there's a story of body shame or stigma that's been instilled in us. But have you ever heard a man apologize for his body? Right. So we don't need to either. The stigmas around the could-be awful side effects, messiness, and dirtiness is often heavily implied in social media. Remember how those advertisements for period products used blue liquid to prove how effective they were? Videos on TikTok are just now able to use red liquid. And can we also talk about the subtle language we see in big box retailers? Feminine hygiene and sanitary napkins imply that this process needs to be cleaned up, when in reality, we can accept its existence and care for it. What would happen if instead of this language, we just called it menstrual or period care products? Now, think about the last time you had a question or needed help with regards to your period. Who did you feel safe going to? We often don't know who or how to ask for support in school or at work when our menstrual health is irregular or impacting our lives negatively, like with heavy flows, painful cramps, migraines, debilitating brain fog, nausea, and low back pain, which are all obvious signs that something isn't quite right and we should be paying attention to those. But when we are able to speak up about our bodies, we're often seen as weak or incapable, especially if we're pregnant or experiencing perimenopause, so we risk dropping out of school or losing our jobs when our menstrual health just needs deeper understanding and compassion. I, for one, am worried about the amazing minds of menstruators that we as a society are missing out on when we ignore or demean our body's processes, especially in the nations where period poverty limits access to needed products to keep menstruators in school. And truth be told, we have our periods around 400 times in a lifetime. And by the end of this phase of our lives, whether or not we have kids, women and uterus owners slide into perimenopause, where hormones sometimes go haywire and things may become a mystery again. The change is made to feel dreadful. Like, now you're actually replacing this cyclical aspect of being with hot flashes, mood swings, and night sweats. It's portrayed in the media and movies that menopause is not an enjoyable process. And maybe it's not meant to be enjoyed per se, but what if the stigma around periods and then menopause was gone? And we saw each of these chapters of our lives as a chance to step more fully into ourselves, to feel more fully embodied, to feel free with a peace of mind around our bodily changes because we know ourselves and have support. That could make the process of menstruation and then menopause more enjoyable. But because the stigma is there, we're unable to talk about it openly all the time. The very fact that the stigma exists stops us from getting to a greener side, a more enjoyable side, a side where maybe we could actually feel free in our bodies with a priceless comfort and confidence. I actually view these stages in life with their own layers of freedom. And I've worked really hard to get to this viewpoint, as well as in feeling free and comfortable in talking about it. And it all started with my period. I got to know my 4 different phases after coming off hormonal birth control and really began to embrace each aspect of my menstrual cycle, from follicular phase to my period. And my immediate thoughts when I first learned about the 4 phases and their superpowers was that I wish everyone could learn this information right off the bat in middle school health class. When you have a monthly bleed, you're free to embody change. You're free to embody nature and ever-evolving energy. No one should expect you to be the same person every day, because you're not. Taking education back to basics with an enriched approach and an honoring towards each bodily process, phase, and function will help us take back the sacredness of something so special and magical in menstruation. We don't just have to teach what's happening biologically, but we can equip young menstruators with what the superpowers of each phase are. What if instead of perpetuating a patriarchal belief that we are weak, emotional, or so hormonal, we were celebrated for reaching this stage of development with period parties? What if every menstruator were gifted things to adorn our bodies, things that would empower us to take care of our bodies and hormones? I mean, we bleed each month and don't die. Freedom looks like having the access to the period product of our choice without being taxed extra for it. That way, we're able to care for our bodies, continue to go to school or work, and create the impact we're meant to make in our communities. When you're perimenopausal, you're also free to experience change and given a beautiful opportunity to give yourself what you need. What if at work you could take those health days off to care for yourself and support your well-being without the fear of losing out on an opportunity or to lose your position completely? There'd be no triple guessing if we deserve the support. We'd be able to just ask. Feeling free in your body is deeply understanding it and being able to honor it without fear of repercussions. It's knowing exactly what feels off because you've tracked your cycle from the start, paid attention through the years, and you know your body better than anyone else. You've been taught the signs, and you know who or what to reach for to help. When you're postmenopausal and your bleed is no longer around, you're free of worrying about the possibility of getting pregnant. You're free to be with the cycles of the sun, moon, and stars, back on a circadian rhythm like our male counterparts. You can be confident in your ability to nourish your body, supply it with daily joy, pleasure, and comfort, because hopefully, at this point, you've never felt more at home in your body. Freedom looks like being able to continue to pursue your goals and dreams because you still have the capacity to create life, whether that's a new project, business, or partnership. For people to come to this place of no fear, full embodiment, and freedom, we need to come to accept what is. We need to accept that menstruation is a natural, beautiful process that is actually a litmus test for our overall health, and we need to continue taking it out of the shadows and into the light. So, my question to you is, would you rather stick with the stigmas, the commiserating, wavering confidence, and apologies for things that are natural? Or would you rather shed all that, usher in a paradigm shift for periods, embrace and embody your cyclical nature, and find freedom? Personally, this feels like a no-brainer. Because when you give a young girl or menstruator the education, the access to care, and the love and acceptance that is our birthright, we grow up to be the fully awake, embodied, and empowered leaders, CEOs, homemakers, and shakers who offer the world a brighter future. Thank you.